It worked. Technology. Technology.
Goddamn.
Technology.
Wait, hold on. Does this work? That works. That works.
Hey.
You gotta love Elgato products and Windows. Two great tastes that go great together. Also, I can see that my webcam is pitching a fit. I didn't know Claire was here. Oh shit. Oh, that's what I forgot.
Oh, that's my name now.
Yeah. Sorry, Claire.
I'm Proton John / Claire.
Sorry, Claire.
That's me.
Your name is no longer that. There we go.
Howdy, chat. How's it going?
Well, that's
what are we doing? Can you believe that May has already been over for 2 days now?
What the hell are you talking about?
3 days almost. That's crazy that May has already been
over for 3. Wait, what are you talking about? It's not.
What?
It's the 21st.
No. It's like it's the 3rd. It's my birthday.
This isn't coming out on. This is live.
This is the 3rd of June.
No.
Isn't it?
No, absolutely not. Stop doing that. Chad, how you doing? You guys doing okay? Wait, the chat highlights busted.
I got
again?
Coffee in my eye.
Oh, poor Babu.
I'm not gaslighting you. I'm gaslighting myself.
What? No, you're gaslighting me in the process. Shut up.
Well, listen. Some collateral damage is expected.
I hate this. Look, I'm glad we're doing this now than last week, I suppose. This is still a pretty busy couple of days. Oh, are you saying that May is over because you stopped streaming every day?
Yeah.
I get it. I get it now. I'm part of the joke now.
Yeah. I haven't streamed since Saturday.
I felt really bad. I felt like it was my fault.
It's not your fault. I was tired. I didn't stream on Sunday. And then Monday came around. And I was like, I'm still not ready. Tuesday came and went. And I was like, that's not for me anymore. I quit.
Yeah.
And now I'm here. So maybe this will get me back on the. You'll get me back on the train.
Oh, I got you off the train. I'll help you get back on.
Yeah.
Celestine's
like that
don't
Fortnite
act
clip.
Like you weren't already there. The vibes weren't in it.
The vibes weren't in it, man.
I mean, I was considering just doing let's just sit on the couch and just chat before you leave. But I think it's a good thing. And we'll talk about it during the actual show.
Right, yeah.
About what everyday May means to you.
Yeah.
And what it meant to you. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about your YouTube history, your Twitch history. But first, we have a Q&A session. So
ask me anything.
You have time now, chat. I just posted a link at the top. It's pinned. So there's a little Google form. Fill it out with your question, with your name and your preferred pronouns. Ask Josh anything, and we'll talk about it during this first 30-ish minutes. All right.
Yeah. Use the Google form. Use the Google form,
please.
Or we'll put you in jail.
Yeah.
We have that authority.
Here, let me see.
YouTube jail.
Wait, can I not do that? Wait, did they take out the feature? Wait.
The feature?
Or am I not signed in here? Hold on. Oh no, I can't give subs anymore?
What? Did they take it away?
It looks like it.
No.
It's either that or it doesn't think I'm signed in. Restore chat. No, I can't. That sucks.
Damn. Rip in peace, dude.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of upset about that. Because that was like a fun little thing to do with chat. I would gift him like 10 subs a month.
Yeah, that's too bad.
And I needed that because no one was going to be a YouTube member otherwise. Actually, we do have a couple of YouTube members, so you can be a YouTube member today.
Well, there you go. Just become a
It's
YouTube member.
it's cheaper than being a Twitch
Prob-
subscriber, and you still get the
Problem
benefits
solved.
of subscribing like you were on Twitch. It's like $3 a month. That is, I made them
True.
pretty cheap. Each creator sets the prices. Is it? Yeah, I think it's like $3.
Yeah, you get to set your own prices with YouTube memberships instead of Twitch, which is a fixed amount that Twitch predetermines. But on YouTube, you can make it whatever you want. It's much more akin to Patreon than the Twitch subscriptions.
It's pretty neat.
But then you also get the emotes on YouTube.
The only thing that sucks is that the
As
emotes
well.
can only be used on that channel.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Celestin, for being a member.
Celestin!
YouTube said we're sniping Patreon with Twitch benefits. Yeah, so now like you get emotes that you can only use on this channel, unfortunately. But you can use them anywhere. You can use them on my videos. You can use them as like you're in the comment section. You can use them here in chat. So it's kind of nice in that way. I just wish I could take the emotes from my channel and use them at other people's channels.
Yeah. Maybe one day that'll be a thing. I don't know. I feel like they don't put a lot of attention into their live stream updates. YouTube is very spread thin.
They are.
But
they should still get better.
They should still get better. I agree. I would like to do some sort of streaming on YouTube at some point. But every time I think about going to do it, I get cold feet on it because I don't want to do. Because I know a lot of people do like the multi-stream thing, and I would like to do that where they stream on Twitch and YouTube simultaneously.
Yeah,
but I think there's like a lot of downsides to doing that. I think, and I already don't put enough focus on YouTube. So if it was like, because if I did that, it would be a lot of focus on Twitch.
Because like that's where my money is being made.
Right. Yeah.
And I just don't feel like it's enough to justify being able to like, okay, I'm gonna try to put more eggs in the YouTube basket. Well, I kind of have to now because I now have to make YouTube would be blessed with baby park pipes.
Yeah, we could bring it to YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I want.
I'm going through over the next month or so, going through a big change with like my stream layouts and graphics and stuff, and I think I'm going to end it with trying to do something on YouTube as well. Sort of incorporating all of that together, but we'll see what happens as time goes on.
I mean, essentially, like, I think almost everyone has to have a YouTube channel now if they want to keep all their highlights from more than a year ago at this rate.
True.
Because now I'm like, okay, I need to put everything in a basket in this YouTube VOD channel. And if I have a YouTube VOD channel, might as well stream to that. Like, it kind of makes sense. So it's like a monster that feeds itself.
My thought was, and I don't know if this is going to work for me, but my thought was streaming privately to the VOD channel just to have the VOD already up on YouTube.
You can do, I think, a members only stream.
Yeah. I mean, you can do a private stream also. You can do an unlisted stream.
Oh, okay.
On YouTube, which is like the only place that you can do that actually.
Yeah.
All these other, like even on Twitch, like you can't do a private stream on Twitch. You can't do. I mean, YouTube still has that shit.
It's kind of the one small benefit of the kind of pain in the ass that it is to create a live stream on YouTube. So there's that.
Yeah.
But let's get to the questions. So viewers were able to submit any questions that they wanted to, and we have quite a few. So I'll try to get through them as quickly as possible. I do apologize if we don't get to your question. It's not because your question was bad. It's because we ran out of time.
Or it was because your question was bad.
You're right. It's not just because your question was bad. First question.
I fully expect all of these questions to be bad.
Well,
go into it with low expectations. That's what I say.
Look, we got one from Celestin, who just brought theirs in. the latest question we have. They ask, when is the subathon for a new PC?
Ooh, that's a good question. Soon. I was actually thinking about that today. Yeah, I was thinking about setting it up. Maybe using Throne to fund it instead of just like
Ooh.
here's a dollar amount. So that would be kind of cool. Yeah, that would be kind of sick. Maybe even next month. I don't know. It depends on because I want to like overspend the next like week or so working on my layouts and stuff and updating some things and graphics and whatever, just for
Yeah.
funsies, but also to like sort of open a new door. I feel like whenever I refresh graphics and the stream layout, it's like opening a door into the next generation of whatever my stream looks like. So probably like once I do that, that could be the next thing. And then I will give birth to a new PC. Isn't that what chat's saying?
Is it going
Birth
to be
PC?
Is it going to be a drawing of you doing this, or is it Photoshop? It's the one time I'll excuse generative AI.
No!
ChatGPT, create a video
No!
of Josh Jepson giving birth to a PC.
Good God! No,
That's
it
how
needs to be
we destroy ChatGPT.
meticulously 3D animated in Blender, high res textures.
Delightful.
Take the camera, zoom right up on in there.
See, I was going to
Wherever
ask a
hair
question, and
is.
now I feel I should. Okay. All right. We have a question. Our first question was from Aki Orange is Borange. She asks, "Howdy, Josh. Want to ask a
Howdy.
more intricate question about your career. Content creation is always a big step up to the plate kind of ordeal. You got to know when push comes to shove and also understand your limits when making said content. My question is, what do you do when things go wrong? My understanding is that failure will always be your greatest teacher, but I'd like to know how to deal with your failures and what you do to convert them into successes for yourself."
Well, first of all, every failure is a step to success. Um, I think the thing that was the hardest for me to overcome with failing at doing something is letting it detract from everything that I've ever done. Like when you fail one time, it doesn't make you, it doesn't like retroactively ruin everything you've done. And
Yeah.
that for like, and you get that in your head. You're like, oh, I'm a big failure and I should just stop doing this and give up because everything I do sucks because you made one mistake or, whatever. And I think that's important. I think it's important to be able to get over that mindset and just like take what aspects you did learn from the failure and apply it to the next thing that you do. The other side of it is if you put something out there that you're really proud of and then it like doesn't perform very well or something and it feels like a failure, absolutely not. And my best advice is to just make the next thing, whatever the next thing is that you want to make, just keep making stuff. And just try to put put whatever feels like a failure just in the back of your head and, take what you can from it. But, again, it's not. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I got burpees. Coming
I
out.
do like the
Burpees.
idea that you're trying to be like really
Passionate
positive and
burpees.
passionate, and then it's just all of a sudden it's like just this Rick and Morty.
You gotta hashtag just keep making.
Failure is a success, Morty.
I love Madrinas.
Get 20% off Madrinas.com with code Josh Jepson. Morty. 20% off Madrinas.com. Code Josh Jepson.
When's the Szechuan sauce flavor coming out?
Szechuan sauce. Not the Szechuan sauce. Ew, Szechuan sauce coffee? No.
So delicious.
No, I don't know about that.
I think I agree to that somewhat. Like, I think that failure. I think the problem is that we are so afraid to fail because, like, we feel it's so important to make like that first impression, and that if your stream sucks, then that's it. Like one viewer shows up to your stream and goes like, "Man, it's quiet in here," which I hate,
I hate
and
that.
then leaves, and then it's just like, "Well, I guess I should never stream again." Like, you should try things. You should fail. I think I failed for like 10 years before I figured things out.
I
And
mean,
even then, I'm not like huge.
you're just gonna keep failing. Like that's the thing. It's like you. I know that it sounds so brutal to say it like that and like very blunt to say it like this, but you're just gonna keep failing because that's like kind of the point. Like I fail all the time, and the thing is that I feel like most people outside of your brain don't know what
Yeah.
things that you think you are failing at.
Yeah.
Like I mean, some things are a little more out of your brain than others, but there's a lot of failure that just happens right there in the brain.
I also think that like it's the same analogy as like when you think that like, oh, you have like a stain on your shirt or something like that, and you're like, oh, everyone's gonna
I
see it,
have a
everyone's
stain on
gonna
my shirt.
know. Yeah, you didn't know that?
Are
It's
you gonna
really
flick my
embarrassing.
nose? Are you gonna flick my nose?
It's just like The Ring. My hand just comes out of your computer screen, gives you a wet willy.
Gotcha.
Got him. I'm a prankster. Yeah, I just feel like you should allow yourself to make the mistake. I think is what's more important.
Yeah.
What do you do when things go wrong? Like, accept the fact that something will go wrong sometimes, and that
Yep.
like you're gonna make a bad choice, or not necessarily a bad choice, but like you pick a game that people don't really vibe with, or you pick
Right.
a game that you don't vibe with, and you just have to be like, okay, that was a mistake. Let's just like allow that to happen. Let's not beat myself up over it. Let's
Yeah.
move on. Try
And you're
something new.
allowed to like stop projects that you're not into or that your
Yeah.
audience is not into or both. You're allowed to just stop. Like I think some people think that you need to like you start a thing and you need to finish it. And I get into this mindset too. I'm like,
Yeah.
I started a thing, I need to finish this out. But if you're not vibing with it, then just I don't know, move on to the next thing. There's so many things you can do in this world.
Yeah.
Just keep working on something. And if it's
Yeah.
not working out for you, work on something else.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's see. Bricoli is asking, for everyone, what would you say acts as a prime motivator for you making content, and what would be some advice you'd give to people wanting to make content themselves? Sorry, I have like this little hair. Also, I hope everyone is having a good day.
Hey, I am having a good day. I'm a little burpy. I feel it in here.
The acid reflux.
Dude, I took Pepsid before this.
Dude, you got to take omeprazole.
Listen, I had prescription omeprazole for a long time, and that's great.
You don't
But
even
then
just the OTC shit, or you
I-
get the regular shit. It's good.
Yeah, I probably should go back to that. I got Pepsid instead this time to try it out. It's not, it's
No.
not doing it. Anyway, what was sorry? Sorry.
Sorry. So, what would you say acts as a prime motivator for you making content?
Oh man. Well, first and foremost, I require a few things in my life. Besides the fact that like I do this to make money, I do that. That's just it's my full time thing. Besides that, uh, the motivation largely comes from the fact that I need a creative outlet. I require something creative being done, and if that's working on graphics for my stream or doing some sort of art thing or video editing or something creative, I need that in my life. I need to be doing a job that does that. But also I require independence. I need to be doing something for myself, whatever that is. Like I struggle to work on other people's projects. And maybe that sounds a little, I don't know, that might be a little egotistical. But it does work better for me to have a solo thing going. And so just being able to like do something creative that I can do by myself is a big motivator for why I do it. But I just like to make people laugh, and I want to do that more.
I feel very similar to that, because I think for me, I really just enjoy the idea of creating.
Yeah.
I really, a lot of what I tried to set out to do when I started doing this was like I want to be able to do cool things with cool people. That was kind of what I wrote. That's my Pixar napkin.
Yeah.
And
Your mission statement. You got your mission
yeah,
statement.
exactly. And I just want to be able to have fun, do cool things with cool people, and just entertain and be funny, um, and try to do all that. And that was just like the main motivator. But I didn't really know how to do that. Like I didn't have an outlet, and like I was just coming out of college or high school rather, and I was trying to think of like, well, I can't make a TV show. I can't like I didn't think at the time I could do stand up comedy. Like there's so many different things that were like really hard or difficult, and YouTube kind of showed up. And I love video games, and I was really getting into Rock Band, and that was easy to set up. So like perfect. Like I love that. I love doing that. And now I'm just kind of at a point where like I want to be able to just talk about video games, whether that's in a podcast, whether that's a video essay. So even though there are like really difficult aspects to it, I think just the drive is just like I just want to do stuff. I think we all, no matter who you are, no matter what your skill level, no matter like what's going on in your life, like there's always some kind of drive to make something. So
Yeah.
I
To
think
make something and to show people what you made.
exactly.
You know.
Um, Sarah Susie Cake asks, from a career stability standpoint, what's it like feeling settled, then ending up moving and resettling down in a new area? This is good. How did you keep yourself motivated for content creation and handle the mental stresses that life changes bring, especially in a people-facing career? Was there a time that you? Well, yeah. So we'll just go with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, I feel like I'm an expert in this by now. Because I've had a lot of that many times over the course of my career and my life of the last like 13 years or whatever.
Hmm.
It's been a lot of like doing like a big rush of like really fun creative work and saving a bunch of money and then moving somewhere cool, and then having things like not really work out, and then you have to move again. And there was, I mean, I've said this before, but I what was it? I calculated in the last uh 13 years, I think I've moved 11 times.
Jeez.
So that's almost, like there was a couple of years there where I was in a place for 2 years, and
Right.
that was it. And every other time it was like I moved every single year. Um and some of those moves were really good because I moved into a place where I had a nice creative space to work out of, an office space where I could like do all my creative work. And some of those the moves were less so, like I had to downsize and move into a place because I needed to save money or whatever.
Right.
Um, or like I got a roommate and they moved in and took over a chunk of the house so that I had to move my things around or whatever. So there's a lot of that. And honestly, it's been really hard to stay motivated through some of that stuff. Usually once I get settled into a place and I get into a consistent routine of, streaming and making videos and doing whatever, it gets a lot better once you have a routine going.
Right.
But the initial setup of everything is always a pain in the ass. And it's hard to stay motivated through that, especially like, and they mentioned specifically like big life changes, not just moving, but big life changes.
Right.
And, I've had a few of those. I've had a few of those. And sometimes I find more motivation in shittier life circumstances. Because sometimes like that motivation of like, I want to do my best at something. Like I feel like I'm failing at all these other aspects of life. So I want to be the best at something in my
Yeah.
life. And so it like all of that driving force goes to one thing, like that's how I felt in May of 2023 when I did Everyday May.
Hmm.
I did vlogs every day. I did a daily vlog for all 31 days of May. And I did a stream every day in May, and I nailed every single one of them. I didn't miss a day. And I think at that time, like I had just come off of all kinds of crazy like upset in my life, like moving across the country and like, leaving my past relationship and like all kinds of things that were like thrown at me
Yeah.
kind of against my will, and you just had to deal with it all. Um, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to put my entire focus on one thing, and it was awesome, and I loved it, and I wanted to, I wanted to recreate that this year, and it didn't quite pan out that way. And I think that's because it's a different life circumstance. I don't have the same level of motivation that I had then
Yeah.
because I have so many other things in my life that I'm like proud of and happy with that I don't want to take any energy. I don't want to take energy away from those to focus on one cool thing. Um, yeah. So I'm just kind of learning what that means for me still.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. We have a question from Zaweri. Do you see yourself going back to doing versus content?
I won't say no. I'll never say no. Well, that's not true. There's been times in the in the past years where I'm like absolutely not. But I'm like getting to a point now where like, yeah, I could say yes to something if something came along and it seemed like a good time to do it.
Yeah.
So I won't say no.
All right. TJ Koopa asks, how do you deal with possible feelings of envy in regard to your streamer friends, especially since schedule overlaps can cause viewer dips? I think this is an
Man.
interesting question because, like, it's
Yeah.
hard to say envy, but it kind of is in that family.
Yeah. I do. I feel that sometimes. I do. Because I have streamer friends who get a variety of viewer numbers
Yeah.
and stream at a variety of times. And sometimes those streams overlap with mine.
Yep.
And sometimes we share audiences, like we're all
Yeah.
friends, a lot of us, and we have similar schedules and similar audiences. And I bet it's hard for the people who are watching to pick a stream. I think that's really it. I think it's going to be hard for them mostly to pick a stream. Because it's really hard to watch more than one stream at once. I mean, you can do it, people do, but it's not, On the subject of feeling like envious, yeah, I've felt that. And I've even like gone out of my way to change my stream schedule to like fit better with people who I might share an audience with.
Yeah. I
You know,
think I was going to say, I think that works out. Like, so I would say that I typically stream when at least somebody that I have a shared audience with streams. But I also think that's why I have a shared audience,
yeah,
because your communities wind up molding and melding together a little bit just due to like, well, I'm ending my stream, blah blah's still streaming, so I'm just gonna send the
yeah.
raid over there, and it just becomes this like easy thing to do.
There's also like times where there's a lot of stream crossover,
Yep.
like something will happen in one stream and, then you can kind of react to it in real time and like
Yep.
people are jumping back and forth between stuff. So it kind of feels like this big amalgamation of a bunch of different streams sometimes. That's cool. I think mostly overall I try my very, very best to if I have a streamer friend who goes live and they have the big numbers and I'm feeling a little jealous and I'm live at the same time and my numbers are down and it kind of feels like it's because they're preferring one stream over another. Like I try my very best to just be like happy for that creator friend and then just not worry about it, like keep doing your show, do it the best you can.
Yeah, and I think it's more important in that time to really focus on the community that you have, because they're choosing your stream over theirs,
That's
possibly.
true.
So even if And yeah, because I do get this sometimes as well. Like there are certain streams, there are certain nights I'll say when something is going on, maybe it's like a big event where I kind of don't feel like streaming
Yeah.
because I know that my numbers are going to be lower.
Yeah.
And there are times where I just kind of say fuck it and do it anyway because that's not fair to the people that do show up that I
Yeah.
know are going to show up.
Yeah.
And so it helps. I mean, it obviously helps when you have a community at all. Like, it's
Yeah.
obviously going to be more difficult. It was much harder to have that kind of thought when I didn't have anything. And,
Right.
like, I would have very, like, high amounts of view counts, but not enough engagement. And then, like, somebody's, like, a Coliseum's happening, and obviously everyone's paying attention to Coliseum. Nobody's watching your thing.
Right.
So, like, I'll just throw that out as an example. But now that I have like a community of my own, I trust my community that wants to watch my streams will still do so, even though like another big event is going on. So there
Yeah.
is that.
Yeah.
And I try to think about that.
And there's always going to be people outside of the general community. Like there's like, we have our interconnected communities, but there's always going to be some people that are like outside of that circle who are not watching everybody.
Yeah.
And choose your thing over anybody else's.
Yeah.
And that's cool. So like, yeah, focus on that, man. Try not to sweat it.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to start thinking about like how can you expand your community to not I guess the worst case scenario, the worst way to say it is like relying on another community's existence.
Right. Yeah.
So like yeah, Josh and I stream a lot at the same time.
It's true. We do.
You know what? I'll just say it. I'll just
True,
say it.
we
We
do.
streamed at the same time a lot.
It's true.
But like, even though we have a shared connection of viewership, definitely, I think the fact that we do stream a lot together has played into why that community exists in the first place. And
Yeah.
also, maybe then it's up to me to say, like, well, maybe instead of constantly sending my raids to the same people, I start looking towards other streamers that do the same thing that I do, that have the same vibe that I have, and try to just like grow and just kind of like weave my
Yeah.
way
I mean,
into other places.
branching out is always going to be good. If you come across somebody on Twitch and you're like, this person just kind of matches my vibe. Like I've done that a few times. Sometimes it's been a little regretful. Like the person ends up not being that cool.
Yes.
Ultimately, but like, at first glance, you try to find somebody that meshes with your vibe. And like try to branch out a little bit, get to know some other creators and some other communities and make
Right.
some new friends.
Yeah, I think it's really important to also consider the fact that like it's not necessarily good to like stick yourself into one particular like community bucket. So
Yeah.
let's see. I got maybe one or two more and then we'll move on. We'll take a break and then we'll move on to the podcast proper.
Okay.
But I do really thank everybody for their questions. We have one from McButts.
McButts.
Actually, you know what, McButts? I'm gonna save yours for the actual podcast.
Okay. Okay.
There's a reason. So I'm actually gonna save yours. Let's see. Yeah, here's a good one. Let's do Miles Cotbox. If I said that correctly.
Miles, what's up, dude?
They're asking, when working on a video or series for YouTube, what part of the production process do you enjoy the most?
Oh. Ooh, man. It's hard. Oh man, I don't make enough YouTube stuff.
Yeah. I can
don't
tell
make
you what
enough
my least
YouTube
favorite
stuff.
process is. It's editing.
See, I like the editing part.
I hate
if
it.
I just had like a bunch of stuff to edit, which I do. I get like the stream stuff, but I want to make some stuff that's just like for YouTube.
Yeah.
The part that I like the most, is that the question?
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, it's got to be the editing. I like editing. Especially if I give myself enough time to really like do something cool with it. Which is hard to do with YouTube because like you want to kind of like get things out quickly and on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
But if I sat down and like really did what I want to do with editing, it would be a lot and it would take a long time and it would probably not be worth it. But I do like to have fun with the edits when I can.
That's fair.
Yeah. I'd say that's probably my favorite part. I also just like the general technology of it all, like cameras and microphones and setting it all up and like doing the whole process of getting out the equipment and and touching it all, like even before you do like hit record,
Yeah.
it's just like it's cool. Like set up the lights, make it all look nice and sound nice. And then when you get it all set up and it looks perfect, you nailed it. By that point, you've spent all your creative energy, and you got to tear it all down and do it again another day. That's been my experience with doing YouTube stuff.
Yeah. I think I enjoyed the actual like shooting of it. Like
Yeah,
creating the video, like setting it up to me is a little bit stressful because you're trying to like find the perfect angle, the perfect shot. You're changing lighting the entire time, making sure it's like perfect. But like I do enjoy the actual like the shoot, especially when I'm doing like an unboxing video or when I'm taking a look at like my retro games and stuff like that.
yeah,
Just thinking about the video itself when it's finished, like actually motivates me to make it. So
yeah,
I would say that's mine.
yeah. That's great. We love it.
All right. Here's one from Celestin asking, "What's the worst fan interaction you've ever had?"
The worst fan interaction I've ever had.
Yeah.
Oh man. It was either the time at PAX where I was recognized in the bathroom, which is never a great time to be recognized.
No,
I don't
not
remember
my
what
favorite.
came of that. That was a long time ago. In recent memory, I hesitate to say this is the worst one because I don't know, but I did have somebody. Um, uh, I did have somebody come up to me at MagFest, one of the recent MagFests, the last 2 years, and hand me like a unpackaged, what was it, like a shortbread or something. It was bread that
Okay.
they had made, and it was all in the bottom of like a giant plastic bag, like twice the size of my head. And he just reached in with his bare hands and pulled out a chunk of bread and handed it to me. And uh like I was trying to be polite about it. I was like, I'm not really hungry right now. But like somehow it still got into my hands. Not in the bathroom, not in the bathroom. No, this was out in the public.
Here,
And like if
it's
that person is for
sourdough.
some reason watching this, I don't know if they like watch all the stuff that I do regularly. Just first of all, I almost never eat anything that is given to me, like food wise.
Fair.
I
It's a good
avoid
practice.
food like related objects. Like if you give me something food related, the chances of me eating it are very, very, very low unless it's like a prepackaged thing. And even then, like I'm kind of hesitant about it.
Yeah.
So don't give me food. But if you reach your bare hands into the bottom of a plastic bag and scoop out a bunch of homemade stuff that I'm unaware of and hand it to me with your bare hands, and I have to carry it around this convention hall with my bare hands, absolutely not.
No, dude.
So that's not great. And it was very hard. It was very hard to like say no. Somebody comes up to you and like they're excited to give you their thing.
Yeah.
So like, and I feel bad about it too, because like I want everybody to be happy.
Yeah, but the
Sometimes
problem
my own
is
expense.
that you're gonna run into that one guy who's just kind of like, eat it.
It was very awkward. It was
I
very
made
awkward.
it.
That felt uncomfortable. There was some other uncomfortable stuff that happened at that MagFest too, unfortunately.
That's
But
fair.
most everybody that I met was very cool, and I got to have a nice conversation with a lot of cool people. Yeah, but I don't know if that's my worst fan interaction, but
It's up there.
it's up there.
It definitely ranks in like that could be. I'll just file that in. That's potentially dangerous.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and I don't think that there was. Here's the thing: I don't think there was anything malicious with it or whatever. It's just like a health concern of like,
Well, especially
bare hands,
like
coming from a stranger, coming from a strange bag, like food objects that I'm gonna put in my mouth. Like, I'm just not gonna do that.
during a pandemic.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I don't know. I made this. Eat it. I dare you.
What's the matter?
Why aren't you eating it?
Why aren't you eating it?
It's hard. It's hard to tell somebody like something that I feel is like very obvious. It's hard to tell somebody that like that is kind of an obvious no.
Yeah.
Without making it more awkward. So like me just accepting it in that moment and then like just tossing it later, like
Yeah, it's
carrying
like-
around this chunk of bread.
Yum.
Oh my god. But anyway,
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the questions that we have time for. There were a couple
Cool.
more. Thank you guys so much. Well, like I said, I think there's like one or two that we're probably going to get asked during the podcast. Plant behind you pouring the drink out. Yes. Yeah. Perfect. The Cusco's poison. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back,
good. I'm gonna
Josh is gonna pee on
stream, live on
stream
This
for
is
your
exclusive
stream.
for you.
Yeah, beautiful.
Stream on stream.
Yeah, delightful. Well, look forward to that, chat. I'm retro ads. Nah, we don't do that here.
No, this is all modern shit. Like this is the most up to date stream you can get.
That's true. Yeah, you're gonna see real ads. You clowns. Good luck. See you on the other. Let me know what ads you get. I don't even get a counter for this, so like I don't know when the ads are done.
Oh,
yeah, and I guess some of them are skippable. So you'll just listen to Popsky's music for like a couple of minutes while we get set up. But then we got a whole podcast episode for you guys in a little bit. So
stick around, folks.
Stick around, folks. Be right back. Hello. God. Look, there's so many. The intro completely broke last week, so now we have a different intro sound, but it's not the same intro sound, so it's still broken. So it just cuts in the middle of the song. Hello, everybody. The podcast, the audio listeners won't even know what I'm talking about. This is the content that only the YouTubers get.
Exclusive live scuff for the YouTube stream.
Exactly. Yeah. You suckers on Spotify get the perfected version of this. All right, howdy everybody. Welcome to another episode of our first episode 3 of Good Luck, Have Fun. We've taken the best parts of Let's Talk and Dialogue Box and melded them together to create a more fun, casual, and informative conversation about the content creators you love and the ways that they celebrate their love of video games through content creation. Our
yes, sir.
Third guest, yes, sir. We've got YouTuber and Twitch streamer. You can find them over at where they given their full Christian name. YouTube.television or Twitch.tv.
It's a stage name. It's not real.
Exclusive content, everybody. We've just learned that our guest,
real,
Josh Jepson, isn't his real name, but you responded to it like a dog.
I will respond. I will respond to my fake name.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Well, we all know why. He's Stinky Winky.
Oh yeah, that's my legal government names. First name Stinky, last name Winky.
It's on the papers. My dad wrote it out himself.
Please don't call me Mr. Winky. That is my father.
Mr. Winky's my father.
Please call me Stinky.
Yeah, please call me Stinky.
Anyway, my name is actually Josh Jepson. Hi.
Oh, hi. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm here to talk about, I don't know, content, stuff that I make.
I
Art.
honestly never told you what we were even going to discuss.
No, you didn't. But I'm here. Listen, I'm here to shoot the breeze.
And that's great because that is what this show is about. It's
Shoot the breeze.
kind of. I stole your
Cool.
idea. Remember when
What?
you had a podcast?
I did have a podcast, and honestly, this format is fairly close, actually, to how I have my podcast going.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's I
which is
mostly
good.
wanted.
It's a good format.
I mean, people loved Let's Talk, right? But
Yeah.
it was a pain to edit. And I loved Dialogue Box because it allowed me to not edit and it allowed me to like just bring people in and just have a casual conversation about video games. So I was just kind of like, what if I just did both? And I
Yeah.
just brought in a content creator and we just talk about content creation. And
Yeah.
then maybe we'll talk about the Switch too, because that's how SEO works.
It's soon. Switch too soon.
Yeah,
2
Switch
weeks,
too
buddy.
soon.
What do you, I mean, now it's like listen, it's time. It's time. I
People
skipped
been-
the OLED Switch.
People have been wanting a Switch 2 since like 2018.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. The Switch Pro news started a lot very early on.
It started so early
Yeah.
to the point where I was just kind of like, I'm so done with this conversation. Wake me up when Switch ends. Switch timber. When Switch timber ends.
Switch timber. Wait,
Switch
that's
timber.
good.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that.
Oh, fuck you.
Every day streaming.
Every day Switch Oh, fuck.
Every day Switch timber. You
Damn,
stream a
that's
Switch
what
game every
that's what
day.
they should have called that charity stream we did.
Oh no!
Ah!
Switch timber, dude.
Well, I think it occurred in March, right? So it would have been Swarch.
Smarch.
Smarch.
Swarch. That doesn't sound as good.
What are you talking about? It's a classic. We're going to be calling it that all the time from now on. It's Nintendo Deck Deluxe OLED.
Oh my god.
What is the opposite of a Switch?
Swatch.
That was where my brain went. Wow.
Swatch.
No wonder
Which,
we're capable
it
of
doesn't
stealing
even
each other's
really make
ideas.
sense at all, actually.
What is the opposite of a Switch? Swatch.
Yeah.
The Swatch.
The Swatch.
The Swatch.
The Nintendo Swatch.
The Nintendo Swatch. I had a guy who was doing a project and he was trying to say the opposite of Northrop Grumman. It's like a government contractor. So they said like Southrop Grumman. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like I read that and thought I had a stroke. And then I finally realized what they were trying to do. I'm like, that's so stupid. You have a degree, sir. Switch timbers that when Jepson replays Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Actually, I do want to do that. Real talk.
Switch timber of the wild.
I do. I want to play it in that sweet 60 frames a second.
I can't wait to play all of my Switch 1 games the way that everyone on the internet told me that I was supposed to enjoy them.
Dude, I might even give Scarlet Violet a second chance.
I'm not. Actually, I never bought the DLC, so I might buy the DLC just to play it on the Switch 2 and see if it actually improves.
I've heard the DLC is good. I
have too. I just don't want to pay them.
Yeah, I refuse to buy DLC for a Pokemon game until I'm like satisfied with the Pokemon game.
Yeah. I've been
buy Sword
very
and Shield's
patient.
DLC. I didn't buy Scarlet Violet's DLC, and I probably won't.
I did buy Sword and Shield's DLC, and it was not great. It was fine. Like it was alright.
Yeah.
I would say by comparison, it sounds like Scarlet and Violet's DLC is actually better.
Yeah. It looks like it.
But we're not going to talk about well, maybe we will. I don't know.
I could talk about Pokemon for hours upon hours upon hours, and we don't want to do that.
Do you like video games even?
I'm not so sure. Although here's the thing, I did just put like 70 hours into Oblivion Remastered.
So you just like Oblivion.
Yeah.
All other
I've been
video games can go to hell.
I've been on an Elder Scrolls kick lately.
I mean, that's
Like,
fun.
after I finished Oblivion, I finished the main quest in Oblivion. And then I started watching like lore videos and shit about the Elder Scrolls, which, as you can imagine, for the Elder Scrolls is a deep rabbit hole, actually,
My
of all
my
kinds of
wife
stuff.
will not even play the game, but she will just like watch the lore videos
Yeah,
for a game. Like she
yeah,
knows so much about Hades. She's played it, but she hasn't beaten it. But she
right.
knows a lot about Hades. It's
Yeah.
like that. It's almost like that story. Like Earthbound's biggest fan can't wait to finally play it.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my that headline goes so hard. It's my favorite of all
I
time.
mean, videos like that, and people watching people stream a game is
Yeah,
why we have a thing to do on the internet.
yeah. You
So that's
you
great.
can
Keep
watch
watching
me
stuff.
play nuts and bolts and tell you that it's good, and then you'll just accept that as gospel. Maybe.
I'm glad we had a good time with Nuts and Bolts. I was
It
worried.
was so fun. That was probably it ranks, if it's not the most fun I've had on a stream on my channel, it's one of like top
It was
2.
very good. It was very good.
I don't think I stopped laughing, but we made like I'm surprised how much progress we actually did make,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
things
Me too.
considered.
Me too.
Because that stream was also like scuff central, but we made it work.
We made it work. It was great.
Speaking of content, so you were actually somebody that I was gonna have on Let's Talk back when it was still a thing before. Do you remember that time when I said I hate editing?
Yeah.
That's what canceled Let's Talk, because I didn't want to edit anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
And
that's fair.
and I
I
just want to do it as a podcast.
I get it. It's a lot. Like sitting down and actually like cutting something up, especially a podcast.
Am I
That's a lot.
boring?
That's a lot. It's
Like when you
it's
have to
hard
edit, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of it was
I would
that
much rather get it like do it live. Get it done live.
Yeah.
Make all the pre-stream, pre-podcast, pre-production stuff out of the way and then just do it.
Yeah.
Do it in one.
Well, and like it kind of worked out in the end, because a lot of the people that I would have had on the show are like I've built a relationship up with them through Dialogue Box, ironically. So like I would get to know people through Dialogue Box, and the idea was then to put them on Let's Talk after we've built a rapport, and
Right.
then it would feel more natural. Like I'm not just like interviewing somebody out of the blue. But now we're just going in.
Yeah.
So I'm picking like the content creators I know the most, and then on month 4, I'm fucked.
No. You can always here's the thing. You can also like yeah, it's tough though, especially when you're getting somebody on for the first time. Like that's
Yeah.
probably the hardest one. That's the hardest part. That's what
Yep.
I discovered with when I was doing my very short-lived podcast in 2020. I picked a lot of people that I knew personally, but I had never done a one-on-one solo project with them of any kind before.
Yep.
I knew them personally. I met them numerous times face to face, but like sitting down and actually like recording a thing with them for the first time,
Yeah.
you never know how that's going to go.
Exactly. And that was why one-on-ones with me can be pretty rough, because I'm just like a ball of nerves, and it's just kind of like it's just you and me. And so there's so much more emphasis or reliance on
Yeah.
one of us
Yeah.
to be able
yeah.
to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. If you get a guest on that's like maybe not as talkative or is like a little bit more monotone or slower speaking, like they have a different pace than you do.
Yeah.
That can be hard. I've experienced that a little bit. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how y'all do it. I stopped doing my podcast, so I don't know.
I'll let you know when I figure it out. So going way back, I want to talk about like Let's Plays and your channel when it first started, because this is like the Let's Talk part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like we're gonna talk about your career. Um, what was it? What was the scene like when you started, and what made you decide like I'm gonna do Let's Plays? Like that seems fun.
What was the scene like when I started? Well, I was like, you look back at it was like 2008, 9, 2009 when I was really starting to get traction with doing stuff on YouTube. Like prior to doing Let's Play
Yeah.
stuff, I had like a Pokemon channel where I did like ROM hacks. I made like episodic stories. They called them machinimas, short for machine
Mm.
cinema, not the company machinima that existed long ago.
Yeah, they
But
kind of stole that
yeah,
name.
they ruined that word. But yeah, it was like, you would take a video game and you would make like an episodic story. You would write something, and like I used Pokemon hacks for this. And so that was kind of like my initial in on YouTube. And I had a little bit of like a tiny like viewer base from a forum that I was on at the time. And I had like a small circle of friends. And ultimately it came to me to do Let's Plays because I was watching uh this is such a dumb way to get into a thing. So YouTube had this feature a long ass time ago, maybe like 2008, maybe like 2000. Yeah, I want to say 2008, where you could kind of stalk your friends on YouTube.
Oh, tight.
So they had, not only did YouTube have a friends list at one point, it also had this thing that would show you what your friends are watching on YouTube at like in real time.
Yes, I remember that.
It
Oh
was
my
very
god.
short lived.
It was because it was so invasive.
It was very invasive, but it would pop up in the corner. It would show the exact video that your friend is watching right now.
Yeah, so you're just kind of like, oh wow, you're a freak.
So I was trolling a friend of mine at the time, a guy I used to play Halo with, by following him around YouTube and watching all the same stuff as him and making references to stuff that he was watching, like in our chat, and just trying to freak him out because it was a new feature, like he didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
And he just happened to be watching like old Let's Play videos from like Nintendo Capri Sun or somebody. And that's kind of how I got into it. That's kind of how I get into it. I started seeing the Let's Plays, and more and more would pop up. And I was just like, I'm really into like just watching these playthroughs right now. And I would put on like hours and hours of Nintendo Capri Sun stuff, like Majora's Mask and like all kinds of stuff. And I was like, I can do that. I like games. I like talking. I like shooting the shit and like making people laugh. I can do that. And at the time it was like everything felt so small in comparison to where we're at now. Like it all blew up over the course of like, from 2010 onwards. Like it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
For gaming content specifically. Like once it became monetizable, like there was a period of time there where it was such a gray area that YouTube was like, yeah, we won't monetize that. So, a lot of the early people were doing it just for the passion project of just like, I want to show off a game. So yeah, that was me. I was like, I just want to show off my favorite games, Mario Sunshine, Banjo. I wanted to play Banjo for people. And Twilight Princess was a big deal in my life at that time too. It was like, there was one of those games that like get you through a hard time. So I was like, I want to do a Let's Play of Twilight Princess. And my circa 2009 trying to get a new Let's Play channel off the ground. I was like, how do I do this in a way that is a little more unique? I wanted to get my friends together and do a collab channel, which yeah. So I started a collab channel with two guys that I used to play Halo with. And we did like 3 videos, and then the whole channel got shut down because of some glitch on YouTube, and it was kind of deflating at the time. Basically, like, so when they introduced the Google accounts into YouTube,
Yeah.
what ended up happening is I linked a Google account to this Let's Play channel, and then I was like, I don't like this. I don't like the Google account thing. I don't want it. Can I just sign in with my YouTube? I deleted the Google account
I did this.
which then deleted the login information for the account. The account still existed for a while,
Yeah.
but you couldn't log into it because you can't use your original YouTube login information anymore.
Yep.
You had to use the Google account, which
Yep.
now no longer existed.
Yep.
So that was hugely deflating.
I actually did this to my old Rock Band channel because I got mad about the sign-in process, and then I just, in a fit of rage, was just kind of like, you know what, fuck it, and then I just deleted my account,
Yep.
and then I was like, oh, my channel that I started just for like just to watch videos was gone,
Yeah.
just completely gone.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah, that was a rough time.
livid because
Yeah, I was
those
pretty upset
videos
by
are
that.
just forever disappeared into the ether. So
Yeah, I had a lot of videos like that, unfortunately.
yeah, lost
So,
media.
so that this collab channel fell apart. But I was like, I'm still kind of committed to the idea of doing Let's Plays. I don't know if these two other guys are really all that committed anyway. We all sort of fell off of the idea of it for a bit after the channel died.
Yeah.
I already had the Josh Jepson channel like that already excuse me, existed. I'm sorry. I'm so burpy.
Dan,
that
cut it
already-
out.
Yeah, Dan, cut it out. Cut it out, Dan. No, so I already had the Josh Jepson channel just to like reserve the name on YouTube. Like I wasn't planning on using it for anything.
Yeah.
Maybe vlogs or something. Like I never really had a plan for it. So I was like, I'll just use that channel and I'll upload some gaming stuff. And I just started doing that, and sort of the rest is history, I guess. And now I don't upload anything at all.
All this to say, my channel is dead. Thank you for coming. Well, so I mean, it's not really just all that. I think you went from like creating videos, like you wanted to do this collab channel, and then you wound up getting dragged into a group collab anyway.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
What was that experience like? Like, how did you find? Like, how did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them? Like, what happened there?
Circa 2013, 2012, maybe. I had just, what is it? 20? No, it was even before that. 2011.
You tell me.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a wild time, man. It was a roller coaster of events for the next couple of years. Like 2010 onwards is just like a huge blur up until 2013. Like those 3 years are just like crazy. So one of those years, I think it was like 2011. I ended up in a call with Chugga Conroy and Nintendo Capri Sun, whomst at the time they were like concerned about a particular individual who was going around like false flagging all the Let's Play channels, and they were trying to take down channels.
Oh yeah,
You remember that?
I do. I do.
And so they were like really concerned, and I just like kind of like was in contact with them just like to like make sure that they're good and make sure that my channel is good. And we were starting to kind of interconnect a lot of people. And I ended up in a Skype call with the two of them. And after that lovely call, it was just like, everything's good. We're getting the channels back up and running. We're talking to YouTube. And then shortly after that, because in that call, they had talked about doing like a collab channel of some kind. And, I guess, after that call, like there was some time that passed. And ultimately, I got a message saying like, hey, we're starting this channel called The Runaway Guys with Proton John and Chugga Conroy and Nintendo Capri Sun. And they were like, do you want to come be a part of this thing? Like you were kind of there when we were talking about it initially. We want you to come on and be the first guest. I don't believe I was the first choice though. I don't think I was the first choice. There was another like pretty big YouTuber at the time that I think they asked first, and either they couldn't do it or it got weird or something.
Okay.
And so I was like their next choice down.
Hey, silver medals are legitimate. You can earn those.
But yeah, I attribute a lot of my early success to being on the Runaway Guys at the time. They were, they had a big channel. It was fresh. It was new. People were excited about it. I was the first guest. So, there was a lot of people coming over from that channel. I think I doubled my subscriber count on YouTube overnight.
Mhm.
and I was like blown away by that, and that really solidified it for me. Like, oh, I want to do this. Because before that, it was like a big question mark. Do I want to pursue this as a thing that I dedicate my life to, or do I want to go to college?
Yeah.
Like that was the two choices. I was in my head like thinking like, I gotta get a college degree and like go find a job and start a career. And the YouTube thing sort of like was happening alongside my planning of my life. Cause I was 18 at the time, I was just
Yeah.
barely coming into adulthood and trying to figure it all out. And YouTube just sort of like happened alongside me growing up there. So that was a very important moment, distinctive moment, where it kind of all solidified. So
And what
then,
was that process like? Because I mean, this is something that nowadays I think the way to get into like full-time content creation is very different.
yeah,
Because I feel like back in 2011, even as far into like 2012, 2013, it was very questionable as to whether or not you could make any money.
right,
I'm not even talking about a living, like any money. And most people that were interested in doing content creation probably were in situations where, maybe this could be a fun little thing to do and earn a little bit of money, but like maybe we weren't considering this like a full-time career. So, what was your headspace at that time? Because like, if you had chosen college, like what was your college life going to be like, and
yeah, right.
what did that what did that look like in comparison to just being like a full-time content creator?
Oh, I would never have said the words full time content creator or like
I don't even
you
think the
know
word content creator, YouTuber or let's player was like the thing.
yeah, and like I would have never said like this could be a career. In fact, I denied it as an option years and years after all this.
Mhm.
For years, I was making full time money and I was able to support myself, but I would have still told you like, no, this is not a career. Do not do this because
Right.
it's not a career path. And I think it is now, but it's also harder than ever to do it.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, also easier to do it because the technology has come a long way. That was a big thing. There was, live streaming didn't exist when I started doing Let's Plays. You could
Yeah.
not live stream your video games. That was not a thing. I mean, you could barely do it in like 2010, 2011. Like you're just barely starting to be able to live stream on something like Ustream or something. But the technology really wasn't quite there yet for that kind of stuff. And it was, sort of expensive to get into. Nobody really knew what they were doing. So yeah, sorry, I lost the plot here.
No. So like where was your head at when it came to like, okay, I could either go to college, what would you even have
Right.
done in college? And what ultimately made you decide like let's just do content creation and let's just like keep going in that direction?
I was legitimately throwing around the idea of becoming an electrician,
Oh, okay.
right around the time that YouTube started taking off for me. So I would have gone to like a trade school and done like an apprenticeship and like that. I don't know anything about electrician work now, but had I begun to learn about it, I think I would have enjoyed that career path. And maybe listen, there's still time. There's still time.
There's plenty of time for this whole YouTube thing to just crash and burn.
Yeah, there's still time. It could
Yeah.
end. It could all be gone tomorrow. I'll become an electrician.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So what was my headspace at the time? Like, I I just didn't think it would like I never considered it to be like a permanent thing. I was always like I have to have some backup plan in my head. And I think I got over that at a certain point, like years and years and years down the line. I was constantly in the back of my head thinking like, well, what would I do if this was gone tomorrow? You know?
Yeah.
Um but then I got more comfortable and more comfortable as the years gone on. But yeah, my headspace at the time was like, yeah, don't do this as a career. I would tell people, they would ask for advice on how to have a
Turn
moderately large
around.
YouTube channel. And I'd be like, no, just don't don't do it. Like, if you're gonna do it for the fun of it,
Yeah.
and just have fun with it. And if it goes somewhere, great. If it doesn't, just don't worry about it because it's like it wasn't meant to be or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not a career.
Yeah.
That was my headspace at the time. And I believed that for a long time. And I think now it's a different space.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think people can really turn it into a career, and there's aspects of it too. Like, you don't have to do everything. You know, at the time, right? Like, YouTubers were doing everything, and now we've got to this point where a lot of the biggest YouTube channels that exist are huge teams of production
Yes.
companies. And you know, even some larger streamers and stuff, like, they have editors and they have social media people and all this. And I'm like, I'm the guy that's like living in 2013, still doing all the YouTube stuff himself. And it's a great way to save money. Like, it's cheaper to do it that way. You know, you don't have to pay anybody to do anything for you, but you also have to like have the diligence to do it all yourself, and, you know, take the time to edit things and take the time to make social media stuff and do all the graphic design and all this stuff. And there's just so many aspects to it that it is really hard to do by yourself, and be successful at it.
Yeah. I think part of that is just like the ask in order to be a successful content creator on YouTube specifically is so great that, given that editing is such a long, laborious process and people want to create these like full length episode masterpieces in order to like bow to the meta, the algorithm, is so difficult and so jarring to what it used to be. Whereas, like, remember when you couldn't even post more than 10 minutes of video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that was a wild time.
yeah. You used to not be able to do that.
I actually do have a fun story about being able to post longer videos, because there was a time where they introduced the YouTube Partner Program, which
Yep.
most gaming channels, almost all, actually, yeah, every gaming channel was not allowed to be a part of the Partner Program. They would not accept somebody into the Partner Program that was making gameplay videos.
Yep.
Because it was such a gray area with copyright, and it kind of still is, but, you know, some companies just allow it. And so on a whim, because I wanted to post videos that were longer than 11 minutes, I applied for the partner program. I wanted the features.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, I wrote some stuff up. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is why I want this, like, so on and so forth. And they accepted it. I was like maybe the second ever gaming channel to get YouTube partnership. Like, I was looking at the time, like, there was one other, like, there was like a Sonic channel that had YouTube partnership, and nobody knows if they got it before I did or if it was the same time or whatever. Yeah. I don't know why they accepted me specifically when other gaming channels had tried and failed to get into the partnership program. They accepted me. But then, you know, so I had the features. I could upload videos longer than 11 minutes. But I was not allowed to monetize them. I would go to submit monetization. It was very different back then, but I would go to submit monetization for it to get ads put on them, and they would always deny it. So that was weird. And so, but I was like, I was happy enough with just the features. You know, I didn't want to monetize it to begin with.
Yeah.
So I was happy to have the longer videos. And then on top of that, just to like, I want to just put this out there. I did upload a couple of 30-minute Wind Waker Let's Play episodes. And the amount of comments that I got on there that were like, this video is too long. It's 30 minutes. 10 minutes is perfect for a Let's Play episode, blah, 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 blah. Now it's like you got like 4-hour video essays on like the entirety of the Elder Scrolls franchise.
To fall asleep to.
God damn it.
That was me too. Like, all I wanted partnership for was to have thumbnails.
Yeah, that was it.
I didn't care about the money because I made zero. I made nothing. I made $60 in the several years that I was a Disney employee making YouTube videos for Maker.
Employee.
Yeah.
My God. Maker Studios. That's the other thing. That's the only reason why we were able to monetize early on.
Yep.
Is because there was these YouTube networks that would take you on. They would sign you on, and they would be like kind of sort of like an agency for YouTubers.
It was.
So they would give you like a person that you would talk to about sponsorships and like helping you grow your channel and like maybe merch. Some of them did merch or whatever. And they would take 30, 20, 10% of your ad revenue. Whatever your contract was. I was 10% for a while, but before that, it was like, I mean, I started at like they were taking 30% of my ad revenue. And ultimately it ended up being like, this is not a thing that is worth it for most people. You know, they are taking a large chunk of your ad revenue for basically nothing. Like some of these networks just wouldn't even talk to people. They just like at a certain point, they were just bringing on as many people as they can to try and farm that ad revenue.
Yep.
So that was
it didn't work.
Interesting time.
Did not work.
And now those networks mostly don't exist. Like they still do. Like Maker went way under at a certain point. They got bought up by Disney, and then they had a certain amount of time to start making like some profit under Disney, and they didn't do that. So ultimately Maker ended up becoming like a whole different kind of company, and they still exist, but they're like Disney content creators under this umbrella, and there's very few of them.
Yeah, I kind of remember how Maker basically went on like Disney XD, and they started doing like kind of let's play shows on the Disney Channel for like a little bit, and that was only maybe 7 years ago was the last time I heard about that. So
weird.
It's weird.
It was weird. The trajectory was weird. The last time that I was with a network was 2016, I want to say, which is almost a decade ago now, but that was the last time I told them. I was like, I was on the phone with them, and I was like, because I could already see sort of like the downfall of the channel, but they were like ready to get rid of channels anyway. So I was like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I'm not going to renew my contract. I'm just going to go independent and do my thing. And that worked out all right.
Worked out all right for a lot of people, because then they realized like, oh, I don't need Maker or like these multi-channel networks to anymore, like at all. And then I just don't have to like have the continuous things like taking money away from me, and I can just do all this myself, since I was doing it all myself anyway. So that was a wild time.
Can I take a pause real quick, because I do have to use the bathroom again?
I'll do an ad break. So the last time I did this, Claire had to pay attention to Bagel. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick break. Dan, if you're listening to this podcast, audio only version, I'm gonna ask Dan to make a new ad break, because Dan made a personal ad break.
Oh my God! Wait, really?
For the last episode, yeah.
The
exclusive content.
Cool.
I pay for
Look forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom now.
All right. While Josh goes to the bathroom, we will take a quick break. I'll play some ads. You'll listen to Dan talk about Dan's services, plumbing services. Take it away, Dan. We're back.
Hi. Welcome
back.
back.
Wasn't that a great commercial from Dan? Give it up for Dan, everybody. Give it up.
Woo!
Woo!
Dan! Can only unlock Dan after getting all stars as Mario and Luigi. The little pop-up, you have unlocked Dan.
You have unlocked.
Anyway, where were we?
God, where were we? We were talking about multi-channel networks, talking about really taking the piss out of your paycheck.
Yeah. The last time I did that was 2016, and after that I've been independent and doing all kinds of stuff. 2016 was also the kind of the start of when I was doing Twitch a lot more. Which was hard for me at first. Like I was dabbling in Twitch streams in like 2014 and 2015. I did a few here and there in like short spurts, but I had a hard time with the live format. And
what was like the kind of the reason for that?
Well, like, so with a pre-recorded thing, I can redo something, I can edit something, if it doesn't quite go my way, if it's a little awkward, a little weird, if I said something weird, or I just wasn't happy with it, I could scrap it and start again. Live, you don't have any of that. You're live. So everybody gets to see all your fuck ups. Yeah, and so that was a hard barrier for me to get over. It took me a couple of years to actually of trying to get over it, but 2016 had to be like it was out of necessity at that point because YouTube's ad revenue was so bad in 2016 that like I wasn't going to be able to continue doing it anymore if YouTube ad revenue was my sole source of income. So I really had to figure something out, and Twitch streaming kind of saved the day, you know. I believe that they introduced bits in 2016.
Right, because I know for a long time it was legit just like send me your donations through PayPal, and that
Yeah.
was it. Like, I remember creating a bucket of like a tip jar bucket, and people had those on screen, and like the little things would
Yeah.
fall into
I
the
had that for a
bucket or
long
the
time.
wine glass or whatever. Those were fun. Yeah. So, at what point did you kind of see? Because it's pretty clear that you primarily do Twitch streams, and you do YouTube as well.
I do on occasion. Like once in a while I'll upload something just to, let people know that I still exist and I still want to do that.
Yeah. And but like what was the transition like? Because it definitely changed from like let's do like traditional let's play videos to
Yeah.
something completely different. What did that look like for you? What was going on at the time, and what made you ultimately decide like here Twitch is the thing?
Um yeah, I mean, so the transition was fairly easy. Like I still kept up with doing like let's plays. I was still doing regular YouTube stuff. And the Twitch streams, like there was no obligation for me to like save the Twitch streams or use the Twitch streams in any way. And I think that was the thing that got me over the hump of like, oh, I can just do this live stream and it'll disappear eventually into the ether, never to be seen ever again. And I think that that's what really allowed me to kind of do whatever I wanted with it. Because there wasn't any pressure anymore. Like you were making a thing for the live audience that was right there in front of your face and for no one else. Now it's a little different these days because people do highlights and they do clips and like
Yeah.
save VODs and all this stuff. There's all kinds of things that people do now that I wasn't doing at the time. I'm sure other streamers were doing that stuff. I was not. And it was very freeing for a few years there. I didn't save anything. And looking back on it, I'm like, man, I didn't save anything. I have no idea what happened.
What
I
was
have
my
a
life like back
huge
then?
blank space in my memory of all these streams that I did and never saved. There's still some clips from back then though, that have stuck around. But
Somehow.
yeah, but for the most part, it was very freeing to just do it, get it out there. It's in the ether now.
Yeah.
And so that helped a lot. And then I was still doing YouTube on the side. I was still doing things that I felt at the time I wanted to keep forever, like I wanted to make something on YouTube that would stick around. Um, but as Twitch became more and more integrated into my main source of income, that became the main focus.
Mhm.
And focusing on improving the stream and adding new stuff to the stream and saving more streams and all that over the years became a bigger priority. And let's plays went out the window because I could just do them as a live stream. And then it's like, well, what do you do on your channel now? Well, I guess it's stream highlights. Like that's the logical next step. But I don't know. I feel like in some ways I have abandoned the YouTube audience
Mhm.
in some ways. And I don't think anybody sees it that way maybe anymore. But I think that there was a subsect of people that were not interested in watching the live streams who maybe got a little burnt by me not really uploading anything to YouTube anymore.
Yes, it's like when people suddenly like find you on Twitch and they're like, "Man, I just thought you died."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still get people that come into the chat that are like, I used to watch you on YouTube 10 years ago. Like I've either didn't know that you streamed for 10
Yeah.
years, or like I just never tuned into the stream until now, and it's taken me 10 years to do that,
Yeah.
which is fascinating to me.
Yeah, so on top of all that, like you were not just doing the let's plays, you weren't just streaming, you were also doing you were also appearing in the Runaway Guys occasionally, but you also had a different type of collab stream, and we mentioned it during the Q&A session earlier. But you did a versus channel.
That's true.
Can you talk to me what that was about? How that came
Yeah.
about?
So I did the versus channel with Attacking Toucans, Tyler, and he came to me one day with this idea that he wanted to do a race of some game. I don't know if it was always Mario Sunshine from the beginning, but he came to me with this idea, and I had been thinking about like a similar idea. It wasn't exactly his idea, but it was very similar. It was like doing something where like two gameplay screens were on the screen at the same time, and there was editing, and it was like either a race or some sort of collab. And I wanted to do something like that. I always wanted to do a collab channel, as evidence from what I talked about earlier, where I started my Let's Play started as a collab channel. So I always wanted one of for myself, and with a close friend. And I sort of became friends with Tyler a little bit. We I think our first interactions were through YouTube DMs when they had that.
Oh my god.
And ultimately I said, at first I was like, nah, I don't really want to do a race. I'm not like super competitive. I don't want to make that my whole thing. But then the longer I thought about it, the more I realized like, yeah, I want to sit down and do I just want to do a collab channel. Is mostly what was my motivation behind it. And I was like, if he doesn't do it with me, he'll go find somebody else to do it with. And I think it's a great idea. So we should do this. And it wasn't a lot of work for me because that first series that we did, it was all him doing like all the editing and stuff. So it was mostly just me showing up and playing Mario Sunshine. So
Not
it
a
wasn't
bad
really
idea.
like that much of a commitment.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did this channel. We did this race channel for a long time called Versus. And we did it for a very long time, and we made many, many, many series. We raced through a variety of games. Usually, like platformers was very easy to do: Mario Sunshine, Mario 64, Banjo Kazooie, all that.
Right.
Zelda. We did a couple of Zelda ones, and it was kind of at a time when there wasn't a lot of people doing. Like there were speedrunning existed, and what we were doing was not what I would consider to be speedrunning. But it was enough of an overlap between a very niche speedrunning community and a more casual audience of like just like they want to watch something funny. There was enough of an overlap there that it kind of blew up. Like a lot of those early versus videos did very well, millions of views. And we sort of made a name for ourselves outside of anything else that we worked on because of versus. So it was kind of a big deal for a while. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun at first.
Yeah. So much fun that you created an entire expo.
I did?
Yeah. I don't know, man. You tell me.
What? Yeah. So at a certain point, we wanted to take versus sort of to the next level. And we started talking about the idea of creating our own gaming expo, kind of like PAX or like a MagFest or whatever. We wanted like people to pay to come and hang out, and there was like stuff to do, games to play, tournaments and things. And yeah, we started talking about it and like really started to plan it. But I was like, we got to slow down a little bit. And we got to do something. We got to do something live in front of an audience before that, before we put on any kind of show.
Right.
So we did a couple of panels at PAX that were very successful. We had some speedrunning showcases. We had a couple of speedrunners come up and play like Mario 64 at PAX East and PAX West. And we learned a lot from those shows and felt confident enough to try and make our own in-person event. That it had DNA from GDQ and DNA from PAX, with an emphasis on competitive gaming. So we had the main showroom projector with gamers doing whatever various races. And then we had another room that was like, here's your Smash Bros tournaments, and people would come just for the Smash Bros tournaments. We had so many people come through just for the Smash Bros tournament.
That's crazy.
So yeah, and it was a lot of work. And that's an understatement. It was so stressful. Versus Expo was the most stressful thing I ever did in my whole life, actually.
No kidding.
Yeah,
How
it took a
stressful
lot of
was it?
it took a lot of planning for years in advance. And that wasn't even enough time.
Really?
It was a big challenge financially, like trying to figure out how to fund an event like that and have the money for the event space and for the internet for the show, because it was live streamed as well. And like, people to work the event and the equipment that we needed to get the thing going, and like figuring out where it's gonna be. Like, there were so many moving parts, and trying to set up like a business, trying to set up an LLC to like make it all like legal and work.
Yeah.
And boy, that was a learning process. And I would not trade it for anything. I am so glad that I had that learning experience, because it helped me in so many other aspects of my life ultimately. But at the time, it caused so much stress on my financials, stress on my personal relationships. It was crazy stressful, to the point where, we did that in 2019. We did Versus Expo in 2019. We set up this whole thing. It was a ton of work. That was 2019. And then we were going to do another one, because the first one did happen. It wasn't a massive success, but it did happen. We broke even. So it didn't, we didn't lose money on it really. And which is crazy for a first year event like that.
Yeah.
And then something happened in 2020.
What happened?
I can't quite remember.
Really?
Something like this worldwide crazy thing.
I think you'd remember it if it was worldwide.
Something happened in 2020. I don't know. I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
Okay. Well, who cares? Not important. I remember you messaging me about
something that made live in-person events impossible.
That is crazy. I don't remember not being able to leave the house for an entire year. Look, I remember you messaging me about Versus Expo, and you were like, "Hey, we're doing this thing," and I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to come, but like maybe next year." And I'm so mad because like it
was a one of a kind.
There were so many things going on that year. I think I went to MomoCon that year too. That was my first MomoCon. So there were just so many things going on where I was just like, I can't do anything for this. So, but like, I'd love to come next year, and then next year didn't happen.
No, and I think, had there not been a worldwide pandemic, I think that maybe I would have done a second one. And I'm kind of glad that I had a really convenient excuse not to do a second one, because I think that would have dug a deeper hole, that I wasn't ready for at the time. Like, I did learn a lot, and I probably would have done the second one better. But at the same time, I don't know that I could have handled the extra stress at the time. Like, all of the stuff that was going on in my personal life was making it very hard to work on something like Versus Expo or Versus in general.
Yeah.
Like, 2020 was a bad year across the board for a lot of reasons, but one of those reasons is like I ended up in the hospital at the end of 2020 with some really bad mental health problems, that were like, listen, the brain is a physical thing in your body, and it wasn't just like, like a severe depression or like something like it was, I had like bad, like my brain was bad and I needed like serious help. I ended up in the hospital. I had a psychosis and I was like hallucinating and stuff, from just all kinds of reasons, like bad medication combined with like a ton of stress. And yeah, that just really like solidified for me that I need to take a step back and simplify the entirety of my life. You know,
Mhm.
coming off of years of just like this stressful stuff with Versus and Versus Expo and my own stuff and streaming and all that. I needed to simplify everything down, my financials, everything needed to be simplified so that I could recover from
Mhm.
from all this traumatic stuff. And yeah, and then like what shit. This is my whole life story. I'm sorry.
That's literally the point of this podcast.
Oh shit, it is. I just feel like I'm rambling about myself so much, but that's the point of this.
Yeah. Who else is here?
Yeah.
Chat?
So like yeah, I mean after so like the original point of this was talking about verses, and like that was sort of where it all ended for me.
Yeah.
Was at that point I was like, yeah, there's definitely no way that I'm coming back to do Versus Expo. I am done with Versus as a concept. I'm done with the channel. I need to take everything that I'm doing in my life and simplify it down so that I can recover from all of this. And I spent the entirety of the year 2021 basically doing as little as I could get away with doing and still pay rent.
Right.
So I was basically just doing the live stream and doing it on a very inconsistent basis. But 2021 was also one of the best years that I've ever had in my life. Like it was very, very good for me to have that year
Right.
to relax and recover from all of it. Because it helped me when I came back and to into the fray in 2022, which 2022, like my whole life got upended, right? And I ended
Right.
up moving across the country and all this stuff. I couldn't really afford to live in Washington State anymore because they kept raising our rent. So having that year of 2021 to like relax and fix things helped prepare me for the next big stressful event in my life, which ended up not being as stressful as it could have been.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for all the stuff that I learned over those years that I could apply to all this stuff and start getting back into making regular content again. Which I don't know. Some of it's good.
It's pretty good.
Some of it's good.
I think more than some. More than some. I remember because I think by that point we were talking like pretty regularly. Like
Yeah.
I know that I got back into streaming more heavily in 2021. I used to do like Splatoon streams almost uh exclusively back in like 2014.
Mm.
And then just kind of stopped because I was moving all over the place and I couldn't like make a structured streaming schedule work. I was streaming for Zelda Universe for a time, and that's kind of how we met.
Yeah.
And then like we were able to just kind of get in touch with each other. You know, I had you on Dialogue Box a bunch of times, and I remember the hospital trip, and I remember you coming back into streaming, and it very much felt like somebody in physical therapy. Can you
Yeah.
do you wanna is it okay to talk a little bit about that? Like,
Yeah.
how was it to come back to streaming after something like that?
Um, well, let me just set the stage. So you know, I was having these I was having these flashes of time where like I was conscious and like for like a couple of weeks leading up to the hospital trip, I was like having these like I was going in and out of consciousness basically because I
Mhm.
was having memory flashes. You know, I would realize that I'm in the real world and that everything's good. And then I would have like all kinds of hallucinations and I would like lose chunks of time and I was having like visual and audio hallucinations and all kinds of weird shit was happening. And like I'm a smart person. Like I'm sitting there thinking in my head, I'm like, this is so weird, but it feels so real. This can't be real though, you know, like kind of trying to bring
Right.
myself in. And
Like when
ultimately,
you
like
realize you're in a dream?
yeah, that's how I described it. I described it as that I was having day nightmares is
Yeah.
basically how I you know, like day terrors is what I started calling them. It felt like just I was constantly in a nightmare even when I was awake. And that was weird. It was a very weird thing. Um, you know, but so I mean at the time I was married and my wife was very, very much a big advocate for me, and I'm very thankful to her forever for that. But she helped me, get to a hospital, and get the help that I needed, and like talk to all the people there, and made arrangements and all that stuff when I couldn't physically do any of that. And I'm so glad, because I think things would have been a little bit more permanent had I not gotten the right help.
Right.
Because they didn't know, like I was just in the ER and they didn't know what was going wrong with me. And so she was like trying to explain, like, this is not who he is. Like, he's not normally like this. Like, he needs help badly. So I'm glad I had an advocate, because I was worried that things were going to be very permanent. So, I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. I was in the ER for like a couple of 4 days. And then I was in a mental health hospital for a couple of weeks. And that was like the scariest time of my whole life. Like, that was really, really scary. And it is a direct result of all of the stress of the previous years compounding. Like, there was COVID, and there was Versus Expo before that, and there were some other personal horrible things that were happening, and it just compounded.
Right.
It just compounded. And I was on some bad medication that was not helping the psychosis. And there was one point where I ultimately had like a snap where I just don't remember anything, and I woke up in the hospital, and anything could have happened in that time. But I'm glad that I had somebody there to kind of look after me and get me to that where I needed to be.
Yeah.
So that's the stage. After that, the recovery process was so first and foremost, I got home from the hospital and immediately wanted to get back to work. I was like, I have a podcast that I just started. I want to do the podcast. I was very excited about the podcast before the hospital thing. I had all kinds of loose ends that I needed to, figure out.
Right.
I had some like business stuff, like tax things that I needed to take care of that I just needed to get done immediately.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. So I was like ready to hit the ground running after 3 weeks of not doing any of that. But I was ultimately convinced to relax. So I spent, a little bit more time easing myself back into it. I stopped the podcast. That was the first thing to go. Because I did 2 episodes of that and I wasn't really happy with the result. And I was having a hard time getting back into it. So I was like, I got to stop this. And then comes the conversation with Tyler about Versus. He called me up and he was trying to tell me all these things like, hey, I want to do more Versus Expo stuff in the future. Like, here's my plan for it. Even though he knew that I wasn't going to be a part of it anymore at that time, but he kept calling me up and telling me his ideas. And I was like, that's awesome. I don't want to be a part of this at all. And I had to tell him, I had to be very, very real with him. Like, I need the time to just recover from all this shit.
Right.
So there was a lot of stuff like that. Like the recovery process was me cutting huge chunks out of my life so that I was free to like relearn how to
start over. Yeah.
like I had to relearn what it meant for me to make content, to do streams, to do let's plays, whatever I wanted to do. And it was me like slowly but surely cutting off pieces that I didn't feel were working, so that I could start from like a ground zero.
Right. And that kind of led into like an everyday May thing. So like, what was that about? Like, what came up with, or how'd you come up with that? And what was the driving force behind that?
So, man, I did do an everyday May in like 2021, I think.
Yeah. I think it was around that time.
Because that was okay. So the initial, the first one, the initial one in 2021, I believe was like a direct result of me wanting to, some months had passed since my hospital trip, and I was ready to like really get into it, and summer was coming, and I was like, I'm ready. I just want to like get in there and do something really fun and big. I honestly don't remember how well I did on the first Everyday May. I feel like it wasn't perfect, but I think I still hit streams every day at least, which was the goal.
I think so.
And that was 2021. So, but then the one that I am like super proud of wasn't until 2023. So like, there was a space there. I didn't do it in 2022. And then I did it again in 2023. And that was as a direct result of, again, my whole life crumbling. Like it was just one crumbling building after another for a
Yeah.
while there. We get to 2022 and I'm feeling a little more confident with getting back into content stuff, and I'm doing a lot and things are starting to pick up again. And then, I'm living in Washington. I've got like a nice place with a nice office and everything. And then they hit me with the $800 increase on my rent, um,
Right.
mid 2022. And so I'm like, shit, I gotta move. Like I can't afford it anymore. Rent was up to like, I don't know, to like $2,500 a month or something.
Woo.
And that was just like, it was too much.
Yeah.
And so like in the process of like driving around and looking for a place to live, like there was nothing that I could afford in
Mhm.
the immediate area. The closest thing was out in the middle of nowhere, this 200-year-old house in the middle of nowhere that was still too much rent. So yeah, I don't know. So like, in the process of doing all that, I thought, oh, well, I need to do it again. I need to cut out a bunch of shit in my life to reset to zero and build up again. I got to
Mhm.
do it again, almost immediately. Like I had a year and a half, and then I have to
Yeah.
do it again. Which brought me to the decision to go back out to the East Coast. I grew up in Maine, so I was going to go to Maine originally and be with my family and just like cut down all my costs and just work and do nothing else for a while. Yeah, and man, that was a stressful time. Ultimately, I ended up like not really vibing in Maine, and I called up my friends who were just moving to North Carolina at the time, moving to Raleigh. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need some advice. I need some help. I need to get my feet on the ground again. I need to start building again. And they were like, yeah, come on to the Raleigh crew. And we're, which ended up being bigger than even anybody expected, because,
Right.
there was a bunch of people like Dan. We talked about Dan today. He ended up moving in with me. I was roommates with Dan for a while. We had all of our local friends in Raleigh coming together all at the same time, and it was very wonderful, and it was a good experience for me to have this network of people around me when things were kind of crumbling, to help me rebuild myself and get comfortable with content again and get comfortable in just working again. And I've been very, very, very happy ever since. It was a good decision to going there and like
Yeah.
spending close time with my good friends.
Yeah. I think like even from just like me watching you go through this, which I think this has probably been one of the best like straightforward interviews I've ever done with
Yeah.
somebody, because I have kind of like, I didn't really know you that well until probably 2016. I'd say I think we met at like PAX 2016.
Yeah.
And then I think we just kind of like hit it off after that. And so a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now is just kind of stuff that I knew about.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I remember you trying to get back on your feet, and I remember you saying like, the streams weren't good, or like you weren't doing really well, and I just kind of remember just being like, no, like you're first off, like it's a muscle. You have to relearn that muscle. You have to get back
Yeah.
in there and stretch it out and work it out. And then you just were, I think, just being a little bit too hard on yourself. So it was just a
Yeah.
matter of like just keep going at the pace that you can go at, and then just keep working at it a little bit more. And I think ultimately, like when you moved down to Raleigh, I think that was when things just started clicking
Yeah.
for
I
you.
I allowed myself to just enjoy it again,
Yeah.
because there was a while, like a long while, like I'm talking like 2016 onwards for until I hit Raleigh, um, where, and it wasn't always the case, but it got increasingly worse the closer we got to like the rent increases and all that stuff and the stressfulness of all that, where I was thinking like, I have to do I have to do this,
Right.
there's no choice here. Like I have to go on and it has to be good. If it's not good, I won't make any money. If I don't make any money, I'll be what am I going to do? At that point I had lost my backup plan. There was no backup plan.
Right.
Like I had to make this work or there was nothing. And I think the added stress of me telling myself that it had to be done and it had to be really good and it had to be huge did not help the content. Because there
Right.
was a lot of times when I was just really stressed out and like I didn't feel like I could do it. I didn't feel like I could be entertaining. I didn't feel like I could put on a show. And it was noticeable. Like I was visibly miserable in some of those streams. And people noticed. And I think that didn't help anything at all.
Yeah.
So I'm a lot more careful with that now. Like we talked about Everyday May, right?
Yeah.
I was doing it where, we're not done with May yet. I was doing it. And ultimately I was like, I don't know. A lot of the streams this month have been like that kind of feeling where I just go live because I have to go live
Mm-hmm.
to meet an arbitrary deadline. And those streams ended up being like, here's this hour long of just me like shooting the shit. I'm tired today again. And like, I'm not, there's no substance to it. There's no reason behind it besides just, I got to do it.
Right.
And so I feel like a lot of the streams this month have actually suffered as a result of that. And I'm not making the best stuff that I can make because of that. So I'm learning a lot. Like we're always learning stuff.
Right.
I wouldn't even consider this, canceling Everyday May. I wouldn't even consider it a failure,
I think it didn't do the thing that you need, or that not that you needed it to do, but you were talking about how like 2023's Everyday May was like the best one or like the
Yeah.
most impactful for you.
Yeah.
And we can talk about it real quick, but I think for me, and kind of when you posted that you weren't going to do Everyday May anymore,
Yeah.
or that you weren't going to do it anymore for the rest of this month, rather, uh, it seemed like the purpose that Everyday May needed to fulfill wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And so it suddenly became this thing of like, oh, I have to do this
Yeah.
because now you no longer really need it.
So I think, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the beginning of 2023 started with me getting a divorce. So that
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah.
And that was in like February. And then, there were some months there of like kind of dealing with that, the emotional impact of it. And ultimately I came down to decide that like at this point I had broken down it. Every single aspect of my life had been broken down to the most simplest form. It couldn't have gotten any simpler. My
Yeah.
finances were simple. My relationship was simple. My personal connections with my friends was very simple. It was just like everybody understood what was going on. So everything was very simplified. And I was kind of living at a nice baseline for a couple of months. And then I realized like, oh, I have the space in my life now, the time and the energy and the money even to dedicate every waking moment to it if I wanted to. And so I was like, I want to do that. I want to see what that looks like, what that feels like, and test my limits with burnout. On purpose. If I'm doing it on purpose as an experiment for myself, and I know
Yeah.
that like I can stop at any time, I can I can adjust things where I need to, nothing is set in stone here. I just really want to do this thing and
Yeah.
test myself. Because I had nothing else going on, not a single thing else going on in my life. So it was very easy for me to just dedicate every single waking moment to streaming and making videos for a whole month straight. And I was very proud of it and happy with it. And I've been trying to kind of recapture that feeling ever since. Like it was a high, man. Like I was living on top of the world. Like I had this great vlog series that people were really into. Everybody was watching it and very excited to see the journey. Which was, it was partially like an emotional recovery as well as like refining myself with content again. And
Yeah.
then, May came and went, and I did it, and I was very happy with how it went. And I've been chasing that high ever since, man.
I think the problem there was that, like, Everyday May was something that maybe you didn't realize it at the time, but it's something that you needed,
Yeah.
but you don't need it anymore. And
No,
I
I don't.
and I think the reality is that, and what you were talking about in your post that you had made, for context for everybody, when you had decided to stop doing Everyday May this month, you had talked about your kind of reasons why.
Yeah.
And, like, your life right now is so different. So you're not even in Raleigh anymore. I know maybe we can talk about Raleigh another time. I'll have you back on the show. But, like, Raleigh came and went, and
Yeah.
I think that helped you get back on your feet. You're not there anymore.
Nope.
You've found somebody new, and
Yeah.
you are living with them and enjoying this, like, life. And so you want to focus more of your time on that. That is
Yeah.
Which is perfectly valid. And yeah, like, Everyday Maze, it's like that, like, imaginary, like, imagine, like, a TV show or a movie where, like, your imaginary friend comes to life, but then they, like, slowly disappear because you have new friends, like real friends now, stuff like that. And it's just, you don't need that anymore. Not
No.
necessarily. So
No. Yeah. It's much. Yeah. Like I said, like I have other aspects of my life that I am putting energy and time into that give me that fulfillment that I don't need the everyday stuff as much as I did in 2023. And yeah, like you said, like it's just I don't need it as much.
yeah,
And because I don't need it, that's why I'm like super comfortable with just saying like, nah, that's it. Like I'll just go back to a normal schedule and I'll stream normally on
yeah,
normal days at normal times for a normal amount of time.
yeah.
And that's okay. Like I don't feel bad about it, you know.
Well, I mean, and you learned some stuff there too, because you chose to do new types of streams that
Yeah.
you never tried before. It
Yeah.
allowed you to test new times for you to
Yeah.
stream, which I think was a good thing. So, like, you did learn something from that.
Yeah, I tried streaming in the morning for the first time ever, and I actually really liked it and will probably do that again.
I
Um,
also liked it because I had something to watch
there you go. There you go.
after I
There's a
let my
huge
dogs
gap.
out. Yeah.
There's a huge gap, man.
So,
So,
yeah. And the other thing too that I kind of wanted to point out is that, like, we definitely talked about some more, like, serious mental health topics, which I don't really, maybe I tiptoe into a little bit of burnout questions and things like that with other guests, but you and I actually did an episode about content creation and mental health, back when this used to be called Dialogue Box.
yep.
And I think a lot of that is why I think, like, your experiences and your openness to talk about it is what was a huge driving factor for me wanting to do a show like this, and why I feel like we can talk about these sort of things,
Yeah.
because I think mental health is so important, but it's also a very difficult subject to talk about, especially with other content creators who, I may just be meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about, as a streamer or as a content creator, like, talking about your experience with mental health, and, like, what do you want to hopefully get out of, like, maybe talking with that about that and sharing that with other people?
Yeah, I for a while there I made it a big point of my streams and stuff to just like talk about that stuff openly. And I've always been kind of an open book. I like talking about this stuff because I think it's not only helpful for me, but it's also helpful for other people who might be going through something similar. If they can relate in some way, that's good. I mean, it's not always good because like I might be they might be relating to something bad that I talked about,
Yeah.
um, but the fact that they can relate to it is helpful. I don't have a lot. I've never said that like I have a lot of great advice or anything, but I just talk about my experience and what I did to get through it, and if that's helpful in some way, that's awesome. I love that. So, that's why I just talk about it. I think it's important. I think mental health is such a I think it's been too much of a taboo topic for too long.
Yeah.
I've had um some really bad experiences with people who have like talked to me directly about my own experiences, but like in a negative way. Like they think that I'm a broken bad person because of my mental health problems. So I've had experiences like that where I've had conversations with bad individuals about that. I don't want to get into. I'm dancing around it,
Yeah.
but I don't want to get into detail here. But it's yeah, like I think it, and it's because they don't understand. Like that's why I'm very, I'm very. That's why I said earlier I was like, the brain is it's a physical part of your body, and there's if something's not right up there, and a lot can go wrong up there because the brain is the most complicated part of your body.
Yeah.
You need to be able to seek out the correct help. And if there's such a stigma around seeking help or asking for help when it comes to mental problems, then you're not going to get the help you need. And I'm glad that I had the help that I had, so I just want to like be able to like put that out there. Like go seek help if you need help.
Yeah, it's kind of like even though our brain is only reflected through like the way that we act and how our emotions work, it's still something where it's like, why is it such a big deal to take care of your heart and lungs, but it's a bad thing to take care of your brain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's something that I very much appreciated about our friendship is that, when I didn't tell you about what we would talk about during this podcast because
It's true.
really it's true. Ultimately, I didn't know what we were going to talk about. So I just kind of made this shit up as I went along.
Rebecca asked me earlier
Yeah.
what we were talking about on the podcast. Like, what was the topic of the podcast? And I shrugged. I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna show up and talk.
Yeah. Well, and that's ultimately what I'm trying to do with this podcast is like, let's talk about your career. Let's talk about things that are going on with you. And maybe we'll talk about video games along the way. Shit, that's a better tagline than whatever I just said. But like, when you and I just like sit on the couch in like the living room somewhere and we're just like talking about like content and
Yeah.
how that affects our lives and also just talking about video games at the same time, like that's the vibe.
Yeah,
Like that's what I want out of this show.
I love it.
Yeah. And I think it's been great to have you on here as well. To talk about not only just the very basic like ins and outs of what it means to be a content creator, but like how your mental health journey has impacted that in
Yeah.
very specific ways.
Yeah, anytime, buddy. I will always come and talk out my butt on your podcast about anything,
Hell
but
yeah.
mental health also. Yeah, it's man, it affects us all, whether or not we realize it. It affects us all very differently. Everybody's got their issues. Physical, mental, anything. Everybody's got their problems that they're dealing with, and if I can come on and I can at least make somebody laugh for a day, that is a huge, 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 huge thing for me, and that's what I want to do with everything that I do. And if I can't do that, then I won't. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if I can't do that, then I won't do it because I don't want to come on to a stream and be miserable and like just shitty to everybody all the time. And I've done that before. Like I've gone on and I was like kind of barking at Chad or like just very visibly irritated by something that was going on. And I just like, if things are going to be like that, then I'm just going to choose not to. And I'm proud of myself for being able to make that decision to like cancel a project or something when I know it's not really working for me.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to keep on making fun stuff for people.
Yeah. And I will try to do the same. Hey, are you getting a Nintendo Switch too?
Yeah, dude.
Awesome. That's our Nintendo Switch. That's our question for the month. Hell yeah. He's getting one, chat. We did it. We talked about the Nintendo Switch too. Woo! Oh man.
I'm excited. Hey, you gonna come to my birthday party?
Today?
No. I'm playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Do you want me to physically be there?
No.
Oh.
On the internet.
Fine.
I'm playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Twitch on June 3rd for my birthday. which is 2 days before the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, and then we never play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe again.
Am I invited?
You're invited. You're invited.
I'll check my calendar.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me on the show tonight. I wish I could. I was about to like gift people more subs, but I can't do that anymore, so that sucks.
Can I do that?
I guess you can just do that. Yeah.
How do
Wait,
I
no,
do
I don't.
that?
I don't think anybody.
Oh
can.
no.
You
That's
just
not
have
a
to.
thing.
You just have to pay for it yourself.
Yeah, that's not a thing.
Yeah, let streamers give gifts. I guess you just have to be a member of the channel yourself. Oh
How do
well.
I don't even know how to do that.
There's like a little money symbol next to chat.
It doesn't even. It says super stickers and super chat. Under
Gifted
that.
was taken away. Yeah, what the hell? Wait, you can't
Yes.
even be a member?
No.
I guess you have to go to my channel and then click be a member or something.
Oh wait, yeah. No, it's there. I got it.
Where was it?
No, it's just underneath the video window. I had the chat popped out. That's why I was confused.
This is so stupid. Wait, do I? Can I do this? I don't know. Wait, no, I can insert an ad. Anyway, here's the
shit.
point. Dan, please cut all that out.
yeah. Sorry.
Anyway, look, thank you. That brings us to a close for this month's episode. I just want to say thanks again to our guest, Josh Jepson, for hanging out with me tonight. Let us know where people can find you and what you're up to.
Yeah. So I'm on Twitch and YouTube at Josh Jepson on both platforms. I have a VOD channel called Josh Jepson Extra here on YouTube. So if you want to just like peep in and see what's up with the live streams before coming to one of the live streams, it's over there on Josh Jepson Extra. I have a new channel called Jepson Juice, which has not yet started. So you can go there and subscribe, but we'll see. It's still in progress, and I have some fun stuff going on over there, but mostly Twitch and sometimes on YouTube. But yeah, like I'm streaming regularly. So
please
check it
go
out.
to
Usually
twitch.television.
Twitch.tv, Josh Jepson. Come by and say hi.
He's not dead. I promise.
I'm not dead. I'm alive.
Yeah. As for me, just remember that if you want to help support my content, you can always subscribe and like this video. And if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, that means that you can continue watching this show for free with video, including an extra special Q&A session for those of you who tune in early. If you can only watch that on YouTube, you don't even get that on Spotify. If you want to help financially support us, you can also become a member starting at just $2.99 a month, which earns you some cool emotes as well as access to the Discord. The Discord is free, so no tummy for free this time. No, you gotta pay. You gotta pay $2.99.
You gotta pay for
$2.99.
$2.99.
Plus, you get a special role on our Discord server, which includes access to exclusive channels where you can help shape the future of the streams, the shorts, the videos, and more.
Hell yeah, get it.
Also, before we go, just make sure to leave a comment down below. You can just either let us know what you thought of this episode, or you maybe just like give us an opinion on this month's topic. This month's topic. What are your opinions on Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts?
I already know what it is.
Get to typing. Get to typing. Comments, not in chat. Comments.
Game, but not a good banjo game.
If only they hadn't called it Banjo-Kazooie.
I actually disagree. I actually like the Banjo-Kazooie aspects of that game. Anyway, I can't go into it.
You gotta type it out. You gotta type it out.
I'm typing.
Oh, what was McButts' question?
Oh,
Tell us about Jism.
No, not Jism.
That Jism's for next time.
We'll save that one.
Yeah, the little teaser for the next time I bring Josh on the show. Anyway, if you prefer to listen to the audio version of this podcast, you can do that by finding us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or really wherever you get your podcasts. If you leave us a good rating, that'll help us gain more viewership and reach in those spaces too. So please be sure to give us a good review if you can. But ultimately, end of the day, this has been a fantastic third episode of Dialect Box. Of Good Luck, Have Fun.
Thank you for having me, bud. As
Thank
always.
you for being here. The audio version of this podcast was edited by Motion Dan. Popsky did the intro. Josh Jepson has been this month's guest, and I have been your host, Laughing Boy, now saying good night. And don't let the bedbugs bite. Good night.